Bye. There it is. Inheritance. Oh man, this chair. Please don't squeak.
Don't be squeaky.
I'm gonna change you. Inheritance. Oh man, I bet. Right. If you click this link thinking this is a tax link, you're in the wrong place. I wanted to talk about JavaScript. JavaScript inheritance. I'm going to talk about this video a little bit different than I normally do. I'm going to try to explain this video a little bit different than I normally do. And we're going to start with things in real life. Let's look at this picture. A 7-year-old boy leaning back on a car, thinking he's the coolest guy in the world. With an ice cream in the hand and a pink ice cream it is with a pink background of the car. Isn't that something marvelous? Well, that's me. Let's get back to the subject of JavaScript. So these things that we see in a picture, we call them things. Well, they are objects. In programming language, each physical thing in the world can be represented as an object. Well, what are the things that we see? We see a car and we see a person. Each one of them is an object. Programmers may say there's one instance of a person and multiple instances of cars. 4 in this precise example. Each object, or each thing as we say, has properties, events and methods. Well, properties are characteristics. It's what characterizes the object that we're talking about. If you look at a car, it has a color, make, speed, wheels, and size or shape. Those are all characteristics, right? If we look at a person, that can be a height, age, color. Again, these are all referencing to the characteristics of the object. A property is basically a name and a value. So color is a property name, and a value is red, blue, green, unicorn. So all these cars share the same properties. They all share color, they all share count of wheels, speed. A person object can share the same thing. It can share the height, the width, the age. Now, I'll mention you about properties and methods. What about events? Well, all these 3 things make a working module of an object. An event, I can almost fall asleep listening to my own voice. Keep it short, keep it sweet. I'm going to try and do a one-to-one interaction here. Hopefully this little box here, I can transmit the information I'm trying to do from here to here. So, we're talking about objects, things in the world that we call it, right? So anything can be, a cup is an object in programming language. A person, a car is an object. And what does object do? Object, you describe it, it's variables. So what is it? Now, variable sense. It's got its methods, which is our functions. And functions is do this, do that, do this, do that, remove that, delete that, methods. And there's another thing called events. And now what events? Event is how you interact with it. So let's talk about real world. You get in a car, you press the pedal, gas, that's an interaction. An interaction of an event pressing the gas will trigger a method which is change speed. Add more speed, remove speed. Press the brake will trigger the same method, add speed or remove speed. Your method names can be your own custom, your variables can be your own custom. That's basically it. What else? Another interaction. So me drinking, let's say me picking up a cup is an interaction. Oops. Me picking it up is an interaction. Me moving, or me. So it's very funny. So if I move the steering wheel to the left, the car goes left. That's interaction. So when I move it, it's an interaction, and that will fire in that event will fire something, and it will do something. So in programming language, you have a mouse, right? If you move the mouse, that's a mouse movement event. If you click on it, that's a click. If you hover on top of something, so hovering on top of an element with a mouse, that's a hover event. The same with the keyboard, you can have keystrokes. So if you click on it, pressing it down is an event, pressing it up is an event. You can subscribe to these events. Subscribing means you can listen to the event of something happening, firing this event. That's basically the wrap up of this kind of theory. All fun and games in theory, but I like to go back to practice. Let's wrap this all up. So you know what's an object, you know its methods, and you know what's an event. A little bit here, as I summarize it, the last bit. Event, as I say, is the way to interact with it. The actual interaction with it is what you call an event. wrap it in, get into the head. Now let's kick it off to the real application, to the real world. How do you do this in programming language? So I've created a little folder on my desktop screen called JavaScript Lessons. I think it's a good thing, JavaScript, because we need to know a little bit of JavaScript, the basics or the start of it, and then move into React a bit more. But I wanted to talk about inheritance, or on start we're talking about classes. And let's see how we can, what we just discussed, move it into a programming language. Now, what we discussed is a couple of things. We discussed about things, which are objects. We discussed what type of objects we have. So let's reference these objects. First thing we said, there's a person and car. Well, how do you create a class? It's a class, person with capital E, and there's your personal class. What about next one? Well, you can have a class, a car. A car, we talked about, it has a make, which can be a Ford. Oh, silly me. It can be a make, which is a Ford. It can have a color, which can be red. In our case, it was pink. It can have speed. For now, it's just 0. What about person? It has an age, which is 7. Height, let's just do 110 to simplify things. And it may have clothes, which is a list of jacket, jeans, t-shirt. And shoes, why not? Let's make it cool and funky. So we've got these 3 properties here, we've got these 3 properties. These are properties, as we mentioned. Properties. Now, well, Chris, what about methods? What about functions? Well, let's call a function, what can a person do? A person can walk, right? And it will return you, I have started to walk. What else can it do? It can eat. What about, it can have a birthday, right? So what about adding a birthday? How would you name that? Well, we can say that just got 1 year older, so got older. How does that sound? So got older will actually take a return. So what it will do is do this age would equal to this age, which I'm referencing to these properties, plus 1. And return, oh, got older, and then we could have function get age. Now these are all methods. What about a car? What can the car do? So what car can do? Let's think about it. We've talked about speed, so how about we do a method called change speed. Does that sound good? So what will we do to change speed? Well, it will take this speed and it will actually, will pass an integer, not an integer, we'll pass in a value here, right? That will change to, and we'll return the speed. Now what's the speed? Speed can be decreasing or increasing. So now we have good methods. Now how do we initialize a new car, right? So these, we have currently values stored here. So if we just keep them empty, age, we can have 0 set, height 0, and clothes, we don't know what it is. Now in some before, you could do constructor, and that's why would you reference it, this age, and you would reference in a constructor. But now from ES6, these get created in behind the scenes for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So now we have just created an empty class. Okay, so let's initialize the classes now. So now let's initialize class. And we need a new class. We need Chris. Chris, you need to be a person. Well, we look at the person class, we don't even have a name. So let's put him a name. It's an empty one. So if I go terminal, I haven't got anything there. I get no console logs because I haven't console logged out Chris. Silly me. Log it out. Log it out. Let's see what I don't need. Did I can do did. Bow, bow, bow. And there we go. We've got an empty object. We've got no name. So what do we need to do to name? Well, let's give it a name. We pass in a property, and these are props or values you pass in. And here you need a constructor, and that's where your constructor comes in play. And your constructor will receive this prop here, and you assign it to your property, your variable. So this comes in through here and assigns it. You got this. You're referencing this class's property name. If I refresh it. Cannot access Chris before initialization. Well, what happened there? Oh, excuse me. I did not define it. I need to define it as a string. There we go. So now Chris name is Chris, this person. What about now assigning everything else? So we can assign this dot age equals age. This dot height equals height. Oh, don't be silly here. And this dot close equals close. And now we just need to pass in the right order: age, height, close. Same thing we can do here. Well, instead of doing this a list here long, we can just create a const here, Chris object, right? And we can pass in. We can have name, Chris, age, 7, and just do this. We can have, let me make it age. What was next here? Chris, age, height, which was 110. What else we've got here? And clothes. No, not class, clothes, which is jacket, jeans, and a hat. If I had a hat. No, I didn't have a hat. That's not like shirt. There we go. And Chris object can be passed in here. Now, if I refresh this, it will have a double naming. Oh, look. Unreference. Because it's passing the first one. So what we can do nicely here is we can pass in as an object that we're passing it here. And this object.name, object.age, object.height, and object.close is get passed in. So you pass in an object into a function, and then you reassign it to these properties here. Refresh it. And there you got name, age, height, and close. You've got your Chris. Now that you've got Chris, you can create James, and it can be a James object. And you can console out James. Now Chris got a friend. But his name didn't change. James. And James is 0 because he's a ghost. James, there we go. So you created it from the same class to people. So we got person, and now we want to give this person another class. So we want to talk about inheritance, and we can create a class called powers. Powers, I think, is pretty cool. What powers can I have? The type of a power, and that could be imagination. I think that's a cool power. It could have so now that we've created this person class and we've got two persons, let's inherit in these classes. So a person is got the age, eat, got older, walk. What can we do? So inheriting it, we can create a class, a type of a class or type of a person, and it can be a class called teacher, right? Or a child, and we can have a class teacher. And it can extend a class called person. Now this child, instead of now we're having a Chris extending it here, we can create actually a new, so instead of we inheriting it Chris now, instead of creating Chris class, we can create a new child. And James is actually going to be our teacher. Right? And if we look these out both, we've got a teacher and we've got a child object class, which have the same properties. The James could also have, a teacher could also be jacket, t-shirt, jeans, that's for now, and the height can be 187, and the age could be 22. Just make it sure so you can guys see a clear difference, James and Chris. Now, the difference here is a person can also have, for example, interests, right? Interest could be a string. But what about the differences for a child and a teacher? A child, well, what can a teacher do? So we need to now figure out some kind of a differences to I can make the story more happy. I think I can create a dialogue between a teacher and a child. So what we can do is actually, to make it more fun, we can have a greetings. Is this a person? Yeah, we can have a greetings. Greetings. Which can also be a method. And what we can actually do is return. Backticks allows you to do some variables, and we can say, we can say this name has left. No, we can say this name, which is James. We can say, there can be, hi, my name is James. Oh, I think it's better this way. Hello. You can say, hello, my name is James. And then farewell can also be a function where maybe, let's see, Chris has left the school. See you tomorrow. How about that? Greeting and a farewell. Now, a teacher can be as the lesson that he teaches or the subject that he teaches. So we can have teaches maths, English, and then we have a child. Oop, why is this coming out? Oh, keep forgetting this. And we have a child that is learning. We can put for now empty. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create these empties as we're extending these classes. And actually what I should be doing is saying it's Chris and James object. So James is a teacher and he can be, so he teaches, and he teaches maths and English, and the Chris object is learning maths, and we should put them in array, maths but not English. So Chris has a class object with James, the teacher. If we console log them out, we can see James interest. We haven't got interests. That's something we're missing. We forgot one thing. So now that we're inheriting these classes, so a person class, the child extends the person which is inheriting the class and its properties. You forgot one thing. We need to do a constructor. And this constructor will be this learning, and it will pass from this object.learning. So you're assigning what comes from that object learning and you pass it to this learning. The same for this constructor. And you will say this teachers, passing it from an object.teachers. And the issue here, or the thing is that people don't catch a lot of times, if you're going to run this, you're going to get this error, or must call superclass. And that is, which I mentioned in previous classes, in your subclasses, or the classes that inherit, you need to run super. And super, it's telling it to run the parents class first, make sure it's all initialized correctly, and then run the child. So, if that runs correctly. So, now, this is another thing I forgot here, and that is you need to also assign the object in your superclass here to get initialized correctly the parent class. And if you've done that, now you've got got name, age, height, and all that going on perfectly. And we've got the teacher James teaches maths and English, and Chris is learning maths. So we've got that more nicely here. How about we now write Chris? What about Chris? Chris wants to do a greetings, and that greetings let's learn about greetings. Greetings is he passes a name and says hello. So Chris says greetings, then James says greetings. I'll just log these out, whoops, so they make it more fun. And then maybe James instead of says greetings, he says farewell. And then Chris says farewell. Clear the function. Let's run it. Ooh. Of course, it all runs, but you forgot one thing. You forgot to console log these out. So hello, my name's Chris. Hello, my name's James. James has left the school. See you tomorrow. Chris left the school. See you tomorrow. And this is you can see how we can start building things from simple basic of a class of a person. It has properties, how the constructor works. We saw a little bit the superclass that you need to inherit. Well, you need to first run the parents constructor first to initialize the object, and then the child. The extension, which is in the inheritance, which I wanted to mention today. We also got a car. We could have played around the speed objects. We talked about what is objects, properties, what are methods, and what are events. Event would be Chris.greetings, or Chris clicked the pedal, or Chris turned the wheel, and that would fire a method, which would be turning the wheel left, turning the wheel right. But I think for now, as I understand, this is a great start of a little bit learning about classes and inheritance. And I think I'm going to change the name so it makes it better. You can call it classes and inheritance. I'm going to create a new GitHub repo for this, and I'll push it up to the repo so you can guys come and play around with it. And that's basically it, guys. You have understood JavaScript inheritance through prototypal or pipo, doesn't matter, prototypal. Make sure you get those sounds correctly in the interview and you should be fine. But that's basically, I just wanted to explain a little bit inheritance visually to compare it to a real life thing. So when you're building things in JavaScript, you kind of understand the logic of naming things. I need to fix my chair as well. That's it basically, guys. I want to say a big thank you. Big thank you. A big thank you
on this chair.
As always, this is Chris, your JavaScript buddy, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. If this squeaking chair gets in the video, please comment below. I hope I can cut out every time the chair squeaks. I can't wait for the AdSense to kick in so I can make enough money to buy a chair. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really hope I can get the 100 users. I know it doesn't sound much maybe to some people, but for me, I think I'm getting a mark of 100 users would be phenomenal. It's a good start. Good start to the year. Let's see if I can get that till February. Well, anyway guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time. This is your Chris, your JavaScript buddy. Cheers. Ciao. Bye-bye.